Alright, so Monster Hunter Wilds is about to change massively and it didn't even come out yet. There's a big new title update planned for early April, which is planning to bring back some of the missing features and also new layers of challenge on top of everything that's already available in-game. Plus many more, including a massive day 1 patch, especially for physical edition, so let's jump right in. But all of this information has been recently confirmed by the main Monster Hunter Twitter account, so we're pleased to confirm that Title Update 1 for Monster Hunter Wilds will arrive early April. This will give hunters enough time to prepare for the new content and challenges that await them. And there's also a follow-up tweet about the Gathering Hub, a new place to meet, communicate, have meals together, and more with other hunters. This area will be available to hunters who have completed the main story, so get hunting and be ready. And yeah, that was my reaction initially as well. Upon finishing the main story and reaching high rank, I thought that I was missing something and the Gathering Hub was just not there. I literally thought that maybe I need to progress way further into it, but level 70 came and barely anything happened, so obviously it was missing. But I reckon that this may be a good opportunity for Capcom to also bring back some of the other missing features, specifically the creature display, which is also missing from the version of the game that we played. So this could be a way that that feature, among others, could be brought back, as right now there's nothing really you can do with the captured wildlife. You can still go ahead and capture them. Mostly that's relevant to some of the side missions that require you to capture those, but that is it. Like I told you in that perfect start guide I just posted, the Palico is a good example. There are some side missions for it in which you have to capture Vigor Wasps, but if you complete those side missions for him, that's going to give him like some amazing powerful upgrades over there that will definitely help you in combat. That, as well as the kitchen, since obviously it's missing from the game too. I kind of miss those old cats cooking for you, so being able to have that actually in game is going to be really interesting. Now, besides this, also prepare for a new level of challenge above the currently max one, which is the tempered bosses. So prepare your gear and resolve hunters. Title Update 1 will bring with it a monster of formidable strength at a level above tempered. Another challenging monster will also await you, so it sounds like there's going to be a couple of new encounters that we're going to get. Your guess is as good as mine, but I will just say this: even the tempered monsters that I fought with up until this point didn't feel particularly that difficult. They are definitely way stronger than their normal variants, and there's a reason why you also want to hunt them back to back, but I just didn't see that much of a challenge besides some extra things in there you can do with them. I'm just gonna leave it as a surprise for now, as I don't really want to spoil anything. It's definitely a worthy fight, but I think that the game still requires a bit of fine-tuning depending how you play. Either that, or maybe I just got good at the game. I'm not sure exactly. Let me know down below in the comments once you also get to that point. Not to say that there's absolutely no challenge in the game whatsoever. There definitely is, especially in that intermediary level after you just finished the main story and just unlocked high rank. That is going to be a bit more difficult, but after like leveling up a little bit and starting to get some of the better gear that comes in later and at least some good weapons, you're just going to wreck everything if you already have experience with the previous Monster Hunter games. So the fact that we get a new formidable enemy really sounds interesting. There is one already in the game that kind of gets close to being formidable, but I think that something even stronger than it should definitely keep us on our toes even more. Now, besides this, there's also the day 1 patch that supposedly brings in a huge amount of changes. If you have the digital edition of the game, you don't need to worry about anything. Chances are that it's already downloaded a couple of days ago for you. But if you bought a physical edition instead, then you're going to have to download about a 15GB size update, which is not too shabby. Now, in terms of the changes, the number of the version didn't change too much for me in-game from version 1 to version 1.0.2. So I think that this is going to be mostly related to bug fixes, maybe some balancing of weapons here and there, as some of them actually felt really strong, especially so the longsword. I'm not going to lie, you saw me playing with it a lot, but that's because it's literally that strong, especially now with the wound system and the focus strikes. You create so many wounds and it's so easy to farm gear with it. I mean, creature mats for that matter, but yeah, I mean, it's just insane how good that is. However, pretty much every weapon I tested felt very strong against bosses, so I wonder if it's not going to be the bosses that actually get fine-tuned. Maybe in a way to make them feel a bit more challenging, I don't know. Even after some of the nerfs, I still feel that some of the weapons felt very strong. Even the bow, for example, despite the fact that a little bit of a nerf was applied to it, it still felt like a very strong weapon to have. Specifically, if you didn't pay attention, after the last beta, they kinda did 3 changes to it. The biggest of them all being the fact that the focus strike no longer targets all of the wounds at once. Instead, it highlights them each one by one. But it still doesn't take a long time. It's like 1 second to highlight that, and then it takes less than a second to highlight the subsequent wounds or subsequent arrows that are lodged into the body, like for example ones from arc shot. And even in this case, you get such a massive boost, which is way more important, from the follow-up after the focus strike, because you do this dragon piercer automatically after a focus strike that gives you so much hyper armor that literally I was not able to find a single attack in game that makes my character flinch or stops that animation. Literally, there's nothing in game that stops it. You may take some slight damage here and there, but even that makes you so freaking tanky. So maybe that portion of the focus strike is the one that may get nerfed or balanced next. Besides this, I would also say that from the weapons I tested, definitely the longsword felt extremely strong. It definitely felt really good, especially with the wound system, because you can just pop the wound so much, which gives so much extra damage, so many extra materials. It even fills your spirit gauge very fast. So overall, like, super OP right now. So that is why I think that maybe it's the bosses, aka the monsters, that get balanced and not the weapons themselves. Maybe not to that extent that we think. Maybe to prolong those expeditions a little bit more, make them a little bit longer and more challenging. Now, the Steam database also got updated with a number of Hunter Help DLCs, which mostly I think pertain to the Twitch Drops campaign, basically, which I think comes from right here. Starting on the 27th, basically you can earn some of these in-game rewards, but let me tell you, these absolutely suck. I mean, large barrel bombs, sharp fins, maybe shock traps can be helpful. That can definitely be helpful early on if you want to do some creature capturing instead of the usual, you know, takedown. But even that, you can get so many of, like, literally all of these items right here you can collect so easily. It's like not even that helpful, actually. Hopefully there's gonna be something more of substance later on. But all in all, I'm surprised how well Monster Hunter Wilds is doing. This definitely has to be the highest rated Monster Hunter game of probably all time. It's 9 out of 10, at least on the PlayStation 5 version, so it's an absolute massive win to Capcom. Pretty much everybody agreed that the gameplay is definitely high up there, but in terms of the performance, it was kind of lacking. And I'm also seeing the difficulty being mentioned, which I also tend to agree to, but that performance issue was definitely a shocker to me, because that was not my experience. For me, it was very smooth, surprisingly smooth, even though I did play on a 4090 and still play it, but pretty much everybody else did as well. And I only got a couple of issues ever since then. I'm 100 hours in the game right now, and I only got visual glitches and some crashes here and there. That was pretty much it, so really surprising on that. However, I will say that Monster Hunter Wilds was definitely way easier to get into compared to World. And that may have something to do with the overall game structure. I think that the open world setting of some of these maps helps a ton to just better plan ahead. Like, you can go anywhere, so you're not constrained to going to the next expedition and navigating menus. You just go, defeat a monster, take it off, go to the next, do all of that without having to constantly go back at the base. Plus, I feel the tutorials are a bit better this time around, and also the training area is a lot better this time around, so maybe some of these help with that. But again, even just the fact that you can target in this game finally via the focus strikes helps so much compared to before. That is just it. Thanks much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.